walking for the steam event at McLean's Island. Now, steam, you need water, but we didn't need the amount of water that God has given us from the clouds, I'm afraid. But anyway, it's all go here. This machinery such as this thrashing mill won't be going because of the rain today being Saturday. It could be going tomorrow if the weather clears. But they're a hardy bunch, these steam operators, and there's a big lineup of traction engines, the steam trucks, there's a pole drivers, there's a guy that's going to be drilling holes in the ground, as in wells, and there's also going to be a sawmill going, and there seems to be no purpose of where these guys are heading off to, but they're going there at a great rate of knots, and steam trucks and traction engines. So anyway, it's going to be an interesting day, and I think we're going to start off by going into where it's not raining, into the museum.
So basically, what's the history of these? These were used as a power plant, obviously.
Oh yeah, they run, well, that's probably run mixers and all that sort of stuff, and same as that one over there. The oars brought for running, all the stirring machines and all that sort of stuff.
Delicate touch to get them going.
Put it this way, I don't like to thrash hell out of them. I just like them going quietly because, they're old and, they need love.
Exactly. Oil, very important. I was watching you putting a wee touch of oil in.
Very important, yes. Yeah, we've got to have a lot of knocks if we... Yeah, I know. Oil's it's a total loss system, actually. It drips through, the oil is on a wick that goes straight through, and of course it just disappears out the drains on the ground. So it's not like a car where you've got it enclosed in a sump and it's recycled through a filter or whatever. So you keep on topping them up.
Where would you find this sort of stuff? Because obviously there's stuff that's been used for mines and forestry and...
Well, like that big Roby up there, that's from the coast. That used to run a big sawmill, rural. And yes, and there's lots of other. We've actually bought a collection from Auckland, and it's gradually sort of a lot sitting out in the yard yet to be handled. So it's an ongoing thing really. So, but everything's lately seems to come together, and it's just a pity about the weather, and which I'm blaming on you, Rob. But,
well, it's always my fault.
yeah. So
you've got a boiler, a main boiler, which feeds everything.
Yeah, the main boiler. Yeah, actually we've got an oil-fired one actually, which we're going to rig up. So if we have any school parties coming through, it only takes an hour to get that one going, which it takes 2.5 hours to actually get the old one going.
So an early start for somebody this morning.
Oh yeah. Well, we had it running yesterday, so it was actually warm, so that wasn't too bad. But starting from cold, it's you can't put too much strain on the materials and stuff, because the expansions and all that sort of stuff you've got to.
And young people coming in, with all due respect, you're sort of about my age-ish.
Oh, I'll be older than you, mate.
I mean, are the youngsters who are wanting to learn and wanting to take over?
Well, no, that's the problem. We have got a problem here, which we'd like to encourage the younger ones to come up and take over. And there's plenty for them to look at and learn about. But there's only one downfall: they haven't got a computer on it.
Which you call it a downfall, I call it a huge positive, actually.
Oh, that's for the kids. Yeah, so...
It's really just a case of getting the interest going, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, but I have got a few pamphlets out at the university, in the machinery part of the university, engineering, and I thought there might have been one or two that would like to come out and, just to experience what they've passed. It's pretty hard. It seems to be like this with these machines and even other stuff. It's pretty hard to get the young ones put their interest in it.
that they will?
Oh, I hope so. Because, one of these days I have to turn my foot probably have you speaking at my funeral,
Well, I need a bit more practice before we have to worry about that. Very briefly, tell me about the fire engine, because that's not many of those in captivity.
Yeah, that one's from Ashburton actually. That's come up for the weekend, and this is a Chance Mason fire engine, and does all right actually. They had it going the other day, and they got a little tub which they actually get the water out and in. Thought to myself, well, if I could throw a few bubbles in there, I could have a spa. It was quite good.
That's a lovely idea. What's the history of this machine?
This here came from Kaikoura. We've had the island here for 43 years as driving a sawmill. We just got it going. We've just done a lot of work, a lot of boiler work, redone the main bearings, white metal main bearings, bored the cylinder out, a lot of paintwork, bits and pieces.
So there's been many hours of dedicated work into that machine.
A lot of hard work gone into this. This year's the first time we've had it down here running, so it's only just been finished off.
So obviously it's a stationary one because there's no drive for the wheels.
Yeah, it was designed to be set up in one spot, and it would be drive a sawmill, threshing mill, chaff cutter, something like that. A lot of these portables were a lot earlier than the traction engines. I mean, as time went on, we progressed into the traction engine and that side of things.
Would have been a cheaper option.
Yeah, lot cheaper option. A lot of contractors would have owned this sort of stuff and gone, towed it with horses, gone around farm to farm, doing the work and that sort of thing.
And it's powered by wood or fired by wood?
Fired by wood today. It is designed to run on coal. It's just we've got plenty of wood, so that's what we're running on. We have a bit less smoke as well with the wood.
And its history, you think, is pretty much around sawmills? Pretty
much, yeah. We got it from out the back of Kaikoura, and it was driving a sawmill then. A lot of these things, the history is a wee bit hard to track it all back. But yeah, it drove a sawmill quite successful up there.
How do you learn to redo the bearings and know what to do and take them apart and put them back together again?
A lot of the members in the club here, like some are engineers, there's all different backgrounds. So the chap that done the bulk of work on that, he was an engineer, so there's, ideally suited job for him. I done the paint work. I've sort of got a background in painting, so I done that. Everyone's just sort of chipped in and done quite a bit of work on it.
You've lowered the average age by quite a bit by being involved. What made you get involved with steam?
It's just something to get your hands on and tinker around with. Quite sort of interested in this sort of thing.
And it's a great group of guys out here.
Yep, very relaxed atmosphere out here. And it's, you can see by how many engines and machines and bits and pieces are here. It's a good turn, yeah.
It is, and you enjoy your weekend. Shame about the weather, but they will come. I'm sure the people will come.
Yeah. It's handy to Christchurch, so we should get a good crowd. Tomorrow will probably be the bigger day.
Fair bit of noise going on here. You're converting steam into a pole driver.
Yes, we take the steam from the engine here and run it through a hydraulic line now to, not quite original, but we run it through a hydraulic line into the piling hammer so that we can drive the pile on the ground. We've got all the information boards over here. A very almost identical rig. It was built to old specs that was used in a lot of bridge work around North Canterbury, so it drove a lot of the bridge files with an almost identical rig.
So what's the history of both? This traction engine?
The traction engine was Fru's engine. It was a haulage engine for a long time. And then Lenny O'Loughlin had it, and now Dan's bought it for his museum and for his son, so we tried it.
You just borrowed it for the weekend?
Oh, I run it for him. last paid engine driver in New Zealand.
So the tripod, that's been built locally?
Yep, Trevor Chinnery built that for the 2006 rally. And it's, like I said before, it's all but built the original specs. The old photos of the old rig are over there.
And the actual unit, how does that actually work? Because I don't see too much movement in there.
No, it's all internal. There's a big piston and a hammer and an anvil in there, so the steam comes in, builds up, lifts the piston, lifts the hammer, and then drops down again. So you can determine the speed and how hard it hits with the taps on the side.
And these would have been used, as you said, to build bridges and such?
Yep. This one here actually is still in use.
Is it?
Yeah, we no longer with a traction engine, but we plumb it up to a compressor and use it for driving files to this day.
Good idea. And so it will take a fair while to get that in to be able to support a bridge.
Oh, depending on your idea of a fair while, but that thing will do a lot that modern hammers won't.
Yeah.
Like you can get a fair hit out of that thing, and it's, for all intents and purposes, well contained. It's a small unit, but that thing will hit piles all day.
Has it got a steel cap on the top or anything, or is it just hitting the wood?
That pile doesn't, no. But it's got an anvil where you see the water squirting out there. There's an anvil in there that sits on the pile, and then the hammer hits that. So for all intents and purposes.
So the wood's not being bruised?
No, not at all.
You got somebody to stoke the engine, I trust. You're not having to do everything.
Oh, yep.
He's gone. He's gone.
He's gone. Weather's a bit average.
Yeah, I was going to say, something to do with the rain and a television camera, and he's gone. Well, I thought this was a game for old guys, but Lachlan, you just changed that.
Yeah, you're in the new generation.
Tell me about the engine.
Well, just a 3-speed road engine. It's got the rack and pinion steering. It's all geared, no chains. 3 speeds.
What's the principle of making these things work? How does it happen?
Fire heats the water, then sort of all captured steam, and that's all sort of just flows off, goes wherever.
So you're pretty young, but your dad's showing you basically what happens and how it all works?
Sort of.
So when did you start getting involved with traction engines?
Probably 5 or so years ago. My great-granddad, Albie Drake, worked on bridges, exactly this, set up pretty much. Pole driving, he was a steamer, so he drove the engines.
And now you're actually, you get to drive this one?
Yeah.
What's it like sitting up there? Because you've got plenty of time to look around, I guess.
Yeah, it's good.
And
don't do much on the road, but...
And on the road you just keep left?
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
That's about it.
And do you have to do a lot of cleaning? Because it looks pretty nice.
Yeah. It's not the shiniest at the moment, but lots of polishing with the brass.
So that's the apprenticeship, is it, to get all that stuff done?
Yeah. Not as bad as a showman over there.
No, there's some lovely gear though, isn't there, really?
It's amazing.
And you just, how many hours a week would you put into cleaning and getting ready? And
not much. If we're going to a show, probably about a day's worth if we're taking everything.
You're getting a bit excited out the back there.
Yeah, we're all ready to fire up.
So the sawmill is a huge attraction. What's this history?
Well, it's a sawmill. We're actually sawmillers in Belfast. My son's with us now. We're 4th generation. And this is some equipment we had in the back paddock. And the guys wanted a permanent display here. We still own the gear, but it's on permanent loan. They've built the building with a bit of help from us and built up the sawmill. It really appeals to the people because they can see what's happening. You start with a round log and you end up with timber. They can see the whole process. And we have a brief half-hour, 3/4 hour stint twice a day, and that's enough, really.
Well, it looks as though it's pretty hard work.
It is, yes. We've found a cure for the hard work, but we do that in a minute.
So all driven by one traction engine, but a massive belt.
Yes, it is. Which is the way they did this. This is our big engine, which we've had since '42, and that's what it did in its early years. It drove the mill for my old man for 10 years like this, and it was the start of our business. So it's very important to us. So yeah, it just one engine. Working pretty hard doing this. It's hard work. Yep.
And this really was how it happened. People would be working in here probably 10 hours a day.
8 to 10 hours. Yeah, a good sawyer. A good sawyer would walk 5 to 8 mile a day. And
five paces forward, 5 back.
That's right, but 5 to 8 mile in the day, and they set the pace, and that's how you made or lost your money. And I guess we'd put a mill like this, you put about 25 tonne of logs through a day, and the sawyer could handle each of those logs in different pieces. He probably handles 25 tonne 4 or 5 times in the day, so he probably handles 60 or 80 tonne of timber in a day. I mean, over the time.
Your role today is sawyer, so you're setting the
pace.
The pace.
Yeah, and also what size you cut, and it's your job to get the ultimate recovery, as much timber out of the log, which we call conversion, which is conversion from round to square. We've got waste, which is the slabs, which in those days they would have dried and then burned as fuel for the engine.
So nothing was wasted.
Oh, very carbon friendly.
And even the sawdust gets taken away by a little chain conveyor.
That's right, and then to the dray, which it did, and then we've got the Clydesdale horse Ferg taking the sawdust away. Yep. Because you get a lot of sawdust in the day. Yep.
How old would this be, do you reckon?
Well, it's a bit like grandfather's axe. There's a lot of various parts, but all of it would be at least 50 to 60 years old. Some would be older. The engine's 105 years old. So yeah, it's basic machinery, but it works well. The saws are the important thing, keeping them right.
And how do you keep it maintained?
Well, the saws are the main thing. The rest of it, just oil and and keep the belts good, because the belts do deteriorate. And but we've got a saw doctor, full-time saw doctor at our place, and he keeps the saws here for us, and that's the important thing.
Now the main saw I noticed has got something fluid pouring over it. What's that?
Water to cool it. Most saws have to keep them cool, just obviously for the heat and keep it. As soon as the saw, if it gets warm, it starts to move, it wobbles. The heat expands, so you've got to keep the saw cool to keep it straight.
John, how much have they changed to nowadays, the modern one that you would be using now?
Well, the principle's still the same, but the effects, we'd be cutting here, each man in the mill like this would be just on 4 men, you'd cut about 4,000 or 5,000, which is take 10 tonne of timber a day, 12 tonne of timber a day. We've got 3 men in our sawmill now, and they're cutting 150 tonne of timber a day. Yeah. And that's the difference.
That is the difference.
And I don't think we make any more money. We just all run faster and faster to stay in the same place. But we've got a lot more bureaucrats and other people hanging on us these days, and they're getting quite heavy.
Tell me a bit about it, because it obviously has been in the family for a hell of a long time.
Oh yeah, it has been in the family for a long time. My great-great-grandfather, he employed a contractor to drive it. The person, they contracted all up through Sheffield area, around Darfield, thrashing, sawmilling. The original sawmill they had with it was sold to Mitchell Brothers in the 1950s at Darfield, which is now ITM in conjunction. So that's the parts are still around, and
there's been a passion for the family.
I don't know whether it's been a passion for the family, because we seem to work on it a heck of a lot. For every hour we spend driving, there's 2 hours maintenance and getting it ready, painting it. But no, we just enjoy the camaraderie with the other steam people, and once it's in your blood, it's in your blood.
And your boys looking...
The next generation has got their steam tickets, but they're not very keen on getting up 2 hours beforehand to watch a kettle war.
Are they easy to drive, Andrew?
They look easy, but they're not. You're certainly up there. Any distance takes 2 men, and you're certainly working on looking at the water temperature, keeping the fire, the pressure up, and yeah, and the steerer, you've got to have pretty good faith in your steerer, because it takes about 15 revolutions of the wheel up there just to go around the corner and 15 to go back on the straight.
Because it doesn't self-correct, obviously.
It doesn't self-correct, and anticipation is the key.
Initially, people will do a lot of weaving over there.
Yeah, a lot of weaving. The weaving can be caused by not having the steering chains tight, just like loose kingpins in a car, They do take a bit of keeping going and straight, it's concentration. You certainly know after you spend a day driving these things, 7 hours on the road.
Arms and shoulders.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about the history of the wagon.
It was built in 1924, finished the first month 1924, and we just got paperwork for it last week from England, the original order document form, and that says that it was originally built as an oil burner, which I think must have been an experiment in England. But it came out to New Zealand in 1924. Its first ticket in New Zealand was the 5th month, 1924, and that was to a chap McLaughlin up in Masterton. And he ran it until 1931. In 1931 was its last issued ticket, and he booked it idle until 1939 with the Marine Department records. And then there's a note on the Marine Department records says cost of fitting rubber tyres prohibitive, wagon scrapped. So he must have left it in his shed from 1939, possibly used it a bit around the district, but it wasn't official. And in 1958, I've got a photo of it when Mr. McLaughlin, who was then an old man, drove it down to Soloway railway station, and he sold it to George Giltrap, who at the time lived in Rotorua, or about that time lived in Rotorua, and he had a bit of a altercation with the New Zealand government and the Rotorua Council about his museum. Couldn't get a resolution, so he packed everything up and went to Australia. And this went to Australia in 1958 or 1959 to the Gold Coast to a museum. Lived in the museum for till 1988. Giltraps had sold the museum, I think, to Dreamworld, and Dreamworld decided it wasn't their thing. So in 1988, Mr. Schuster, whose name's on the side of it, purchased it off Giltraps or the museum, and he took it away and restored it as you see it here. Modified a few things. I think the cab was burnt out. He did some things to suit himself. So anyway, he's got to be an old man. He's just about 90. He had an auction in October last year in Brisbane in Australia, and given that this was a New Zealand vehicle, I thought I'd go over and have a go at it. Managed to get it. So it's a three-way tipping steam truck. So it tips over the sides or over the back.
Which would have been very revolutionary in those days.
Oh, well, it would have saved a lot of work. I don't know about revolutionary, but it would have saved a lot of work.
And the mechanics of it, I mean, it's like a traction engine with a cab on, really.
Yeah, just the same as a wee traction engine with a cab on, yeah. And a deck.
You do rides.
And is it easy to drive?
Reasonably, but you've got to get used to it. Yeah. You're pretty busy in a confined space, but once you're on the road, it's easy. Yeah, it just cruises along nice. Yeah.
And obviously, is it still oil-fired? Or?
No, it's coal-fired. But we don't know whether it even comes to New Zealand oil-fired. It's just in the records it says that it was built as an oil burner. And Bowden's were experimenting in those days with oil burners to make it easier. Whether it actually came out here or they did experiments with it and took it off before it came to New Zealand, you wouldn't really know. But
it's a beautiful order.
It's pretty pleased with it, yeah.
You'd be very proud.
Yeah, it's good.
Well, fortunately, the rain eased into showers during the day, so we weren't constantly wet, but even if it was pretty wet above and around and below, it was still a wonderful day. I think the main thing is that everybody here seemed to thoroughly enjoy themselves, and if you have a look back over your mind over the last half hour and see how wonderfully prepared the engines are, the trucks were, the wagons as I learnt them to be, and the whole thing, just everybody seems to put a huge amount of effort into it. and that's what really counts. Everybody here has gone home wildly enthusiastic and having had a wonderful day.